Tight bond wood glues, quietly keeping woodworking projects together for over 70 years.
There is such a variety of glues on the market today that, frankly, it can be a little baffling to figure out which is the best glue for the application you have right in front of you. The deal is, if you don't know the players, how are you going to win the game? The game is woodworking. So what we want to talk about here are all the different players that are available in the glue marketplace, and make sure that when you stick something together, it's going to stay stuck. Let's start with the go-to guy, plain old yellow glue. Now by plain old, there's nothing wrong with that. Yellow glue's been around for a long time. A lot of people call it carpenter's glue or just plain old wood glue. This is a great choice for projects like the stool I've got sitting here, for other forms of indoor furniture or cabinets. Now I said indoor because we're going to talk about outdoor projects in just a little bit. It's easy to work with, easy to apply, reasonable tack time. Now tack time, what that means is how long it takes this stuff to start to grab. In other words, how long can I work with the parts before they start to come together and I can't move them around anymore. So good tack time on this product, and again, let's make sure we're clear. Great choice when we're working with indoor furniture projects like the stool I've got in front of me. That stool that I just got done showing you was an indoor project, and I made a big deal out of saying the word indoor about 4,000 times because I wanted to get to a point here where we can start to talk about outdoor projects, because there's a glue difference you have to be aware of, and we got to get the jargon right. This is an Adirondack chair that I'm in the midst of, and I'm using a glue for this that is water resistant. Now what I want to do is make sure we understand the difference between water resistant and waterproof. My line in the sand for this is I'm going to use this glue on projects like this Adirondack chair where they're going to be outside some of the time, inside some of the time. The Adirondack chairs I make don't live outside all year long. They come in the winter time. So stuff like that where I'm not building a boat, I'm not going to immerse this thing in water, it's not going to be absolutely drenched for all of its life. For this, the water resistant glue is just fine. Now this product has got a little quicker tack time that you need to be aware of than the yellow glue I just showed you. So as you're working with this, if primarily what you're used to is the yellow glue, make sure you take that into account and you work with your parts a little faster, or don't assemble so many pieces all at one time. Do it in subsets, makes it a lot easier to work with. So again, what we're talking about here is a water resistant glue, great for projects like outdoor tables and chairs, does a great job of holding them together. I built this birdhouse for my friends the tree swallows. To be fair, I didn't build it, my son Little George built it. And once the tree swallows are moved in, I want to make sure they stay because they eat a lot of bugs and that's a good thing. So when I'm putting this together, I want to use a glue that is waterproof because this birdhouse is going to hang outside 24/7 all year long. For this, I've got a glue that is in fact waterproof, not just water resistant. So other projects that would fit into this category, think about a planter that you're going to build. You build a planter, you fill it with dirt. In order for the plants to grow, you water those plants. So that dirt is constantly moist, the joints are constantly exposed to water. We need a glue in there that's going to hold that together. We need a glue in there that's waterproof. So the line in the sand between this one and our previous glue is when I've got stuff that really has a good likelihood of being wet all the time, I want to use this. Now, could I also use this on my outdoor furniture where previously I had talked about a water resistant glue? Sure, that's great, because too much is better than too little. Overkill is fine. It's probably more glue than you need for the Adirondack chair, but there's nothing wrong with that. But this is for sure the glue we want to go to on stuff like planters, birdhouses, even cutting boards, because the other attribute we have here is that it's food safe. So make sure that we've got a glue here that's going to hold the project together and be safe where you're doing food applications. Sometimes in our woodworking, we want the project to be reversible. And what I mean by that is not that I want to play the back of the guitar and the front of the guitar. What I mean is I'm anticipating the idea that someday I may want to take this apart. The glue of choice for that kind of stuff is hide glue. Now the deal is that even after hide glue is cured, if I apply a little bit of heat and a little bit of moisture, I can get the joint to come back apart. So as an example here, if the bracing inside this guitar ever fails, I could apply heat to where the soundboard is glued onto the body of the guitar, take the soundboard right off the top, do the repair, put everything back together. It really is the glue of choice for luthiers, and I wouldn't string you along on that. Get it? Luthiers, strings. So instrument makers use hide glue. Another application for hide glue is veneering. Same thing. We have a veneered tabletop. We have some damage to that veneer over time. Heat and a little bit of moisture, we can take the veneer off, get everything put back together with a new veneer. Now that isn't to say that you can't use hide glue for your common furniture applications. A friend of mine uses hide glue every time he's putting a mortise and tenon joint together, and he's thinking about future woodworkers. He's thinking about a time when 100 years from now, somebody needs to repair that chair because the joints have come loose. You can very easily disassemble it and put it back together. So hide glue offers that opportunity to reverse your work, repair it, and get everything put back together pretty easily. Now, what about these glues that people refer to as no run, no drip glues? What's the dealio with those? Well, the deal is that it's a thicker bodied glue. Now, imagine this scenario. You've got a piece of crown molding and you're going to put it up on a cabinet. So you want a bead of glue on the cabinet, then you're going to set this piece of crown molding, and as you're looking, there comes glue dripping down the face of the cabinet from behind the crown molding. That's exactly what we want to avoid. So with the no run, no drip glue, it's thicker or thickerer, which makes it gooder for applications like that crown molding. So let's do this. There's a bead of my no run, no drip. And here comes a bead of yellow glue. And let's just give that a little bit of time and we'll have a look at what happens. Now, that yellow glue is already forming beautiful modern art by dripping down the face of my hardboard, while that no run, no drip glue, oddly enough, is not running or not dripping. So anytime you're putting that stuff together, the other place I really like it is putting miters together. Because it's thicker, the miters don't slide past each other quite as readily as they do when I use yellow glue. So the no run, no drip gives you a thickerer glue that's gooder for vertical applications like I've got here, to make sure you don't have a big squacky mess on the front of your cabinet like that. I bet this has happened to you. You go to put finish on a project and you find a couple of spots where the finish doesn't want to stick. They look suspiciously like thumbprints. What you've got there is glue residue where glue was remaining in the material, and finishes don't want to stick where there's glue. What an ugly surprise. Well, this is where modern science meets old-fashioned woodworking, and that is in gluing products like this. This is a fluorescent glue. What happens is that if there's any residue on the material, when we shine a black light over the project, this glue glows. So I'm going to kill the lights in here, and we're going to have a look at, with the black light on, what effect we get from this stuff. All right, have a look here. As I pass the black light over that spot, man, does it become obvious that we have glue residue left there. Next and final glue for us to talk about is ever famous cyanoacrylate. What a mouthful that is to say. That's why we just say CA glue. If you don't have CA glue in your shop, you're missing out, because there are so many things you can do with this stuff. A lot of turners use it, including me. So as an example, when I was working on this bowl, which is made out of elm, it's got a spot here in the rim where there was a gap open right there in that real cool looking knot. I was afraid that maybe that was going to blow out as I did my turning. So using CA glue, I filled that in. The glue did a great job of bridging that gap. I obviously successfully turned the bowl, which then distorted as it dried into this really cool shape. So CA glue saved my bacon on that one. The other thing I've done in my turning world with it is using a faceplate and a dummy board on the faceplate. I've put CA glue on the end grain of a spindle like this, glued it to that dummy board, initially turning it between a center over here. Once it's been rounded, you can remove the center. The CA glue has enough grab that it'll hold it onto that dummy board, and I can turn this end of the spindle free to make a goblet or something like that. Just amazing. Furniture world, the other thing we can do with it is do repairs. So if I have a small chip that comes off of a piece and I want to glue it back on and get it on there now, CA glue is the answer because it dries very, very rapidly. I can also put it into a void, fill it with sawdust from that same wood and get a really, really good repair that's pretty seamless when it's done. If you're working on a paint grade project, you can put CA glue into a void, fill that then with baking soda, let it all cure, sand over the top, and it makes a great rock solid, rock hard automatic putty that's in that void. So once you're painted over the top, you're never going to know that that void was there in the first place. So cyanoacrylate glue is very versatile. Now you got to know this, it doesn't have a lot of shear strength. That means if we put parts together face to face and then go this way, it doesn't have a lot of strength in that direction. But the fact that it dries quickly, it's available in different viscosities from real thin, real watery, up to really, really thick, provides all sorts of great useful applications for fastening and repairs on a variety of different projects. So that's a primer on this whole family of glues. Everyone has got a job that they do well. It's all about picking the right tool for the job so that you can make sure that the adhesive you use is the right one for what you're doing, and your project is going to get stuck together and stay stuck together, and you'll be stuck on the right glue.